Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Fridays with Keenan's Cutting Edge, where we discuss all things edge. My name is Jenna and I will be your host as we explore the dynamic world of Don Keenan's trial philosophy, The Cutting Edge. Those of you joining us live this afternoon are receiving early bird access to this episode. So you have the opportunity to ask questions and interact with our speaker. If you have a question, please type it into the comments section and we will monitor that and be sure to address it. If you happen to be unable to join us live, however, episodes will be released each week following the live broadcast. So be sure to hit that subscribe button and click the alerts icon to make sure you don't miss an episode. Today, we have my law partner and friend, Youngji Ham, with us speaking about finding your inner voice. The Cutting Edge is all about authenticity and being yourself in front of the jury, and that can be more difficult than one might think. Youngji practices personal injury, employment, and premises law in Washington. We will put a link to her website as well as her contact information in the section below, so you can reach out to her directly with any questions after this episode. Youngji, please tell us about your journey in finding your voice and some tips and tricks how we can find ours.
Thank you, Jenna, for the great intro. I'm going to share a screen now, and I know this is a podcast, but just telling people that's what I'm doing. So I'm really excited to speak to everyone about this topic because it's not something that's covered in an Edge college. The Edge College gives us the fundamentals, the symphony for the Edge, and how we should do things from the beginning. But this is something that many lawyers, maybe young lawyers might not think about, and then they might not figure it out until somebody tells them after a jury trial or after a presentation. And this topic is really important to me, and honestly something that is a breakthrough for me being an Edge graduate. It's something I learned during an Edge college, a graduate course, and something that I feel is not just important to me as a trial attorney, but just in my personal life as well. So it's not a nuts and bolts like most of the webinars that you have, but it's really thinking about how you are as a trial attorney. And Don Keenan is all about being authentic, being yourself. People always say that, and what does that really mean? It didn't really click for me until I thought about it more after my long journey of doing the wrong way. So that's why I picked this topic. And let's see, I'm going to start with the slides here. Okay. Here's a fun quote. Be yourself. Everyone else is already taken. That's from Oscar Wilde, a really famous quote. So ask yourself, what does it mean to be authentic, be yourself? You know, we always hear that, and especially young attorneys or just trial attorneys in general. You know, when you are preparing for trial, that's everyone's advice. You know, you can listen to 10 different trial attorneys, you can watch videos, you can watch Don Keenan's closings and openings, but you have to be who you are. That's how you present yourself to the jury. And the reason that's so important is that that's how you connect with the jury, okay? When they see that, oh, she's being herself, she's being who she is, I like this person, I might actually listen to this person and trust what they're saying. People don't understand that connection, because when we say, hey, be yourself, you can't be anybody else, why is that important? Because the jury will trust you, and that's what trial lawyers are always trying to do. We want to be off code, and we want to be able to connect with that jury to persuade them about our client's story and what our client is seeking, right? A lot of times when we read blogs from Don, so those of you who aren't subscribers, there's Edge blogs that come out every Friday. And we all think, wow, I can't do that. Like Don has these crazy stories. And if you ever talk to Don for 10 minutes, he will tell you the craziest story. And you just think, this guy's crazy. Like, who does this stuff? And it's true, you know, we can't be Don Keenan. You know, we strive to be. He gives us the bricks to build the house to be Edge attorneys. And those are components that are so important in our trials, but we can't be Don. He has this innate gift and he's been honing that for his whole career. But he also is just being authentic. Who he is in front of a jury is exactly who he is when he's grabbing a drink with you or smoking a cigar up in his tower. But he will always tell you, you can do whatever I have done. I'm not anything special. I haven't done anything. It's not a Jedi mind trick. These things I've done in mediations, these things I've done in trial, anybody can do it, even you, Miss Puppy Dog Lawyer. And it's true. My takeaway from that is that everything can be tweaked in some way to make it your own and to be yourself. And you can only do that if you actually know what are your strengths, what is your comfort zone, what is something that you are comfortable doing, comfortable saying, and in your words and in your own way. And while it's very true with Edge, especially words matter. So, when it comes to those kinds of things, and especially when we're working on opening statements and, there's certain ways that we do them for Edge, for instance, you get really obsessed, as I did. I was very obsessed with knowing the exact words, doing it the right way, to the point where you're just memorizing and just trying to read it. And so wrapped up in that, because you don't want to miss a word or miss a phrase and quote, get it wrong. And I think a lot of lawyers are like that. We're very type A. We're all perfectionists. We want to get it right, because if we don't get it right, we think we're going to lose our case. We're going to ruin our clients' lives, all these bad thoughts, right? So this kept me from being myself. I was like, okay, I need to stick to the script. I need to read it word for word. I don't want to mess it up. That's not a way for us to relax and just be who we are, right? So let me tell you about my eureka moment in Edge. So it was actually during an Edge college that was virtual during the pandemic. And for those of you who have not taken it, I really, really recommend taking the advanced fourth year college. My instructor was Ben Biscolo, also known as Benji. So during the college, the first day, you're getting your notes like in any college. And then the second day, you actually get to do a real word year with actual focus group people, right? So we're all prepped and ready. And the fun part is all your colleagues get to watch. And then afterwards, you magically turn off video as if you're not watching. And then you get to have these strangers critique you. So if you haven't done that, that was fun. So I remember going on and, everyone, it was about 8 or 9 people in the college, and everyone had, what question are you going to do? What part of, your voir dire, da, da, da. I go up and I remember it was for a premises case and I'm trying to get the question right. I wrote it down and I'm pretty much just reading and talking like this, not really showing myself. And Jenna's laughing because she knows what I'm talking about, but completely monotone, completely just serious, meek, just kind of very nervous, obviously showing that, I don't feel confident about myself, about the case, not in front of a crowd, all these thoughts, I didn't know that at the time, but the focus group people could see it. And during the critique, Ben, God bless him, he jumps on and says, oh, what do we think of that last attorney? What do we think of Young G? Everyone said the same thing. Everyone said, oh, she seemed like she wasn't confident. She seemed really quiet, lacking in, any sort of self-confidence, yada, yada. Which, if you know me, I think I'm a very confident person. And, that's how I seem. I think I am. So when that group said it to me, I was just like, oh my God, that's horrifying. Also, what's great about Zoom is that you can record yourself and look back and then you see, wow, these people are right. Like, that's so horrifying because that's not who I am, right? But then I thought to myself, but I read my script. I wrote down the question I wanted to ask that my class had critiqued. I presented it. So I'm having a disconnect. What can I do? Well, then after me, this wonderful edge attorney, John Katie, who's a great guy if you guys don't know him, he comes on. John is just a funny guy, very laid back. And first of all, he's late. He doesn't show up on time, even though we're all in class together. He hops on 30 seconds later, everyone's like, where's John? Where's the next presenter? He's all confused. He jumps on and he's like, hey, I'm John. He's lively. He's laughing. The group is laughing. Oh, this guy's so funny. It's like a comedy act. Then he's kind of just talking to the people, getting to know them. They're laughing. And I think he got like maybe one question in about his case, right? They were just like, oh, this guy's funny. What did they say about him during his critique? They said, oh, we love John. He's so funny. I really connected with him. He seems like a guy I can trust. He seems authentic. He seems like a guy I want to hang out with. All those things that they did not say about me. They did not want to get a drink with me. Let me say that. So they felt they could trust him because they felt like, hey, this guy's funny. He's endearing. He's being himself. He's not putting on an act. So, of course, me being me, I said, I love this picture. It's so cute. As this confused kid with a question mark, when we're doing our takeaways and disconnects, which you do in every college and anything, and any conversation with Edge, I said, John, I love you. That was great. Ben, I'm just confused because John didn't follow the script at all. John just got on and he just talked to people and he didn't really get to his questions. I mean, aren't we there during jury selection to ask our questions, to find the people we want to strike for cause? But, that's our mission, right? I don't understand why everyone liked him, but then he wasn't the best Edge student because he didn't follow the script. And Ben said something to me that really struck me. He said, but everyone liked him. Everyone connected with him. Everyone felt they could trust him. It wasn't about getting facts for your case or anything like that. And that's the trial lawyer experience that we need to really focus on when we're really being ourselves. These people thought, this guy's funny. I want him to be my lawyer. I'd rather hear him talk for the next week about his case than that girl who told us this question, who was really serious, not confident, all those things. So that was my disconnect. And I said, oh, okay. But then Ben took it a step further and he said, he's from the East Coast. I'm originally from the East Coast. I'm from Boston. So, I live in the Northwest now, and it's a very different atmosphere here. People here, this is the Seattle freeze. People are very polite, I will say. Sometimes I'll say very passive. On the East Coast, we tell it like it is. My closest friends, Jenna will tell you, my husband will tell you, I'm brutally honest. I will tell you how it is. So that's who I am. And I have a pretty good sense of humor. I'm pretty crass sometimes, just like Don Keenan. So Ben said to me, when I talk to you, you don't seem like that person who just went on that voir dire. You seem funny. You're very sarcastic. You seem like a fun person, but I don't get any of that when you're in front of that crowd. Why is that? And I said, I don't know, but I feel like I'm trying to be myself, but I get so wrapped up. So you get so wrapped up in the question, I get so wrapped up in my script that I forget who I am and what I am. And he said, why? And I said, I feel like I'm going to fail if I don't follow my script. If I don't ask the right question, I'm not going to do well. I'm not going to do well in voir dire. I'm going to, lose my case, all these bad thoughts. And he just said, that's okay. It's okay to have those thoughts. It's okay to be scared. And it's okay to look silly sometimes and do it wrong and mess up. So what? Just be yourself. Now, that's what John Katie did, and that's what was so authentic and priceless. Now, when we do that to ourselves, when we're not presenting our authentic selves, whether it's because we're having a bad day or we're so focused on our script, we're so focused on the next witness, then we're losing our connection with the jury. We are disappearing from the jury's mind. They don't want to hear from us if they don't connect with us. They're not going to trust us if they don't connect with us. So that's what really drew an epiphany for me to say, okay, I can be myself, and I didn't realize I wasn't. Every time I'm trying to put my best foot forward in a courtroom or any public setting, and to hear from regular people, these strangers, that I didn't seem like that, that was really eye-opening. And to have Ben Biscolo point that out to me and say, there's a disconnect between who you are when I interact with you and who you are in a courtroom or in a Zoom trial. So we need to bring those two together because we have to be authentic. That's so important. So this has actually plagued me and followed me my entire career, okay? And it's something that I didn't realize that was the root cause. We always say with Edge, you have to know the root cause to fix the problem, right? So it's always plagued me. Every time I was in a courtroom for trial, even for a hearing, anything, people always said, "Speak up, I can't hear you." And I felt like I was like yelling. So everyone always said that. And I was like, okay, is it in my head? So let me show you this photo. And this is at the beginning of our firm, Washington Injury Lawyers. Jenna and I, we opened our firm in 2013. And we're doing some marketing. We said, hey, let's do some marketing. Let's get out there. Let's, find customers, clients, whatever. And we had a colleague who does some video production, marketing, whatever. So we said, will you shoot like some sort of YouTube, whatever, promotional video for us, right? So here's a photo of us on set, right? Look how young we look. So we are doing this shoot. We go over the script. We get in front of the camera. It was pretty short. It wasn't anything complicated or anything like that. And trust me, we haven't done anything like this since because we do not believe in marketing. But, new firm, you try everything, right? So if you guys didn't know, Jenna is actually a part-time model. So this is where I get to embarrass her. So she's in front of a camera. She's used to doing that stuff. She's smiling. Look at that in the picture on the left. She's smiling. She looks great. She can read things without sounding like this, right? So we do this video and I'm reading the script. I'm super nervous because I want to get the right words. And I'm not smiling. I look like I just woke up from the dead. And I'm just like, hi, my name is Young Ji Hum. I want to be your personal injury attorney. Literally, that's not even, I'm not exaggerating, folks. It was that bad. And I was like, oh my God, why is it like that? And Jenna kept saying, try to smile, try to enunciate, all these tips that we hear that we want to do. But then I kept saying, well, she's really good at it. She's used to being in front of a camera. So whatever, it's not a big deal, right? I never wanted to look at that video again, but it plagued me. It was on YouTube and it was on our website. I'm like, oh my God, this video, it's so annoying. I sound like this and awful. I even had clients who met me for the first time and they would say, oh, you're so nice. You're so friendly and so chatty. Not like that video on your website. And I said, yeah, let's not talk about that video. So again, I was trying to memorize the lines, be perfect. Also nervous, being in front of a camera, but now I've learned, okay, we don't have to be perfect. We want to be ourselves. Of course, yes, you want to get the right lines, but we want to be able to connect with people. And whether you're being recorded for something or in front of a courtroom, in front of a judge, in front of a veneer of 50, 60 potential jurors, you have to be you. It's not about getting the right word every time and getting it perfect. I would get so focused on the script or the outline and just lose myself. For me, it was like, I just have to get it right. So then fast forward, we go to our first trial. This isn't an actual photo, but this is kind of how I looked at my first trial here, a bit north of Seattle in Snohomish County, about 6.5 years ago. It was a simple missed case, rear end crash, or what the jury liked to call a bump. And it was a hard case. Those cases are the hardest, right? But for me, the hardest part was being in the courtroom and trying to speak and get my voice all the way across the courtroom, right? I was really soft-spoken. I was super meek. The judge kept saying, speak louder, counsel, speak louder. Again and again and again. And Jenna too, she said, you have to talk louder. When you object, you have to object. Nobody will hear you. So I remember having my notes, and every witness, I would just stand behind the podium or right by the table, pretty much not move, keep my arms down, and read the script. I was like barely looking up at the jury, barely looking at the witness, just reading, what is your name? What is your occupation? I mean, literally just trying to get it right, because we work on these direct exams and we just hone them, we focus group them, we do so much to them that you're like, okay, I want this to be perfect. And then we clutch that piece of paper when we're nervous in a courtroom, because we say, okay, if things go haywire, at least I have this piece of paper and I can look to it in case things get crazy. So after their trial, we had learned from other prior, actually our defense counsel, who was actually a really nice guy, we had made it a practice to meet with judges. After the judgment was entered, we would meet with the judges, get their thoughts and critiques. We don't do that anymore because now we realize, oh, judges don't actually try cases, so they don't really have any helpful advice, but whatever. The judge said the same thing to me. He said, don't read the questions. And I said, well, I felt like I had to. This is our first trial, blah, blah, blah. He said, it's not about getting it perfect. It's not about getting it right. It's fine if you just get the gist of it. You know what you're going to ask these witnesses. So I learned, okay, I need to impart some of myself into this, right? Being soft-spoken, all those things, that's all part of being authentic. I was scared to be myself. I was scared to be in front of this jury and show them who I really was. And it started at first trial, first marketing video, whatever it was. It's like something came over me and I just was like, I'm going to shut down and not talk like a normal person. So I think the biggest part of this, and we tried to work on this, how can we work on this organically? Because, I felt like, I feel like I'm yelling. I feel like I'm being myself. And then everyone tells me that I'm not, people who know me, right? So I think the best thing you can try to do for yourself to build your confidence, for instance, is to just do some work on your voice. A lot of trial lawyers will take acting schools. A lot of times colleges offer that. Community colleges have acting colleges and whatnot. One of our colleagues recommended a voice coach. So somebody who generally works with actors, especially theater actors, and people on stage definitely know how to present their voice, but a trial is a play. You are reading from a script, you are trying to connect with the audience, right? So we said, okay, let's try working with a voice coach. Maybe that will help me be able to speak louder, be myself, be more confident, all those things. So we've done this actually a couple times, and I really recommend it to people, especially now. You can do this from your home office or wherever you are. I mean, we are doing these things via Zoom now. The first time we did it, it was before the pandemic. We met with a voice coach a few times in a very small improv theater here in Seattle. And her name was Judy Sean. We're happy to provide the name for you guys. She's local, but again, anyone can work with you via Zoom. One of the first things Judy did was having us watch a video of ourselves. So I think we had to bring in like a mock opening, read it, and just watch the video. So again, looking at it, I was monotone, soft-spoken, all those things. So Judy did exercises with us on how to emphasize words, about spacing and all those things, speaking slowly with pauses so that you are enunciating. Those are things that we can work on. She would also do exercises just physically. So you would, stand in one side of the stage and have your partner stand on the other and just speak loudly to each other so you understand how it sounds to be clear and loud. Those are really simple things, and it wasn't expensive. These are really affordable options to just work on your voice in the courtroom. Recently, we connected with, this is really random, but we had run an adversarial focus group, an all-day focus group, and one of the attendees happened to be an actress. And, we had lawyers playing mock witnesses, whatever. And she said, at the end of it, one of her critiques was like, oh, I didn't really believe these witnesses. And we said, yeah, try not to focus on that part. They're just reading a script. And then she actually messaged us later and said, I think maybe, a lawyer could use some help from an actress to help them be able to be relatable and show some emotion in their script and whatnot. So we actually connected with her, and I said, I could use some help, especially when I'm delivering an opening. So we did some lessons via Zoom for a trial that we have coming up next month. And she did an amazing job just doing little things word for word through the script, through our opening, and just showing us where we can enunciate, showing us where we can be colloquial, so we sound like ourselves. Just different ways to, and if you play music, different places to crescendo, different places to be softer, because it's about showing your best self and that making sure that script is how it should be so that you're comfortable doing those things. So, and having Zoom trials, it's actually been helpful for me, I think. And I think a lot of plaintiff attorneys, because we are feeling more comfortable having trials in our own home office, right? Or in your office. And I think Washington is one of the few states doing Zoom trials, but it allows us to be mic'd up. I mean, you can hear me clearly. I don't feel like I'm in this huge courtroom, so I can really focus on the words the way I want to present them and emphasize them the way I want to emphasize them. And then with Zoom, like I said, you can record and watch yourself, right? Another way to easily focus group something. So I say try anything that works. Anytime you can work on your trial skills, it's a great way. And connecting with voice coaches, acting coaches, it's a really great way to just practice those things before you get in front of a focus group. So I really recommend that. And we're happy to provide the names of those teachers as well.
Youngji, we do have a question from our live audience.
Ooh, okay.
And I think it ties in nicely with what you talked about. You might want to repeat a few things just to kind of highlight it in this context. But David Lacrosse asks, authentic and following a script, this is difficult for me. What tips do you have? So in addition to kind of what you've shared, do you have any other thoughts for David?
I would say, with Edge, a lot of times we are following those scripts, right? And with my background in music, and I think this translates easily to our work as trial attorneys, practice makes perfect. So, having those scripts, but then practicing them in front of focus groups, recording them and doing them over again, you feel more comfortable. And when you're comfortable, you feel more confident. And that's how I see it. So, for instance, with openings, you can watch them, redo them, refocus them. So you're going to be doing your opening, dozens of times, 1 or 2 dozen times before your actual trial. So when you're in an actual courtroom, you'll feel much more comfortable. You'll have memorized it at that point, right? Without trying to. Then you can impart more of yourself and be a bit more, not casual, but a bit more comfortable. Another way is that when we practice our voir dire, and we practice those questions, and you do, a dozen focus groups for that case before trial, you feel comfortable. You have the questions, but then you feel comfortable. You don't feel like you're doing another focus group when you're in front of a veneer. I mean, that's how I feel when I do so many focus groups and I get in front of a group. I'm not as nervous. In fact, I'm not nervous at all, really, when we get in front of a real veneer, because I feel like I'm just doing another focus group. So yeah, I think practice makes perfect. Just like a musician, just like an athlete, the more you do something, Steph Curry, he doesn't throw free throws just because he's good at it. He practices. He does them hundreds and hundreds of times. It's all about muscle memory and getting your body to recognize and be comfortable doing those things so that when you're doing it in a real trial, in a real courtroom, you're much more comfortable doing it. So, and it's so easy for us just to do it at home, just record yourself on Zoom, show it to others for critique, put it in front of a focus group, do it again, do it again. And our openings should be short. They shouldn't be that long. So you should be able to practice these things. Hopefully that answers your question. Okay. All right. So my next anecdotal story kind of connects to what I said about John Cady and his humor. So Don told us a story about voir dire, and it was in a death case, a wrongful death case. So, when you're dealing with really heavy subjects, which we all are, but especially in a death case, how are you supposed to connect to a jury without making everyone feel really depressed and sad, right? It's so serious. It's not a joking matter. But he also said to the jury, he asked the jury, is it okay once in a while, even if it's something really serious, even if it's something really tragic, to say a joke once in a while? Is that okay? Everyone said, yeah, of course. I mean, that's how you diffuse awkwardness or sadness with laughter. That's how you connect with people. And that's okay. And that really spoke to me as well, because I'm a pretty silly person. I'm always joking around, and that's definitely how I try to diffuse situations, especially awkward ones with lawyers. And that was a moment for me where I felt like, I realized it's okay to be me. It's okay to be silly, even if it's really serious issues that we're talking about. And it's okay with a jury, as long as you're being yourself. Don't try to be funny. Don't try to be a comedian if that's not who you are, right? So this picture of Jerry Seinfeld, I thought was really fitting because Seinfeld had a gift for making very dark, serious subjects funny. I mean, the last episode of the show was the main character is going to jail. And it was funny. Nobody thought it was crass or inappropriate. And so I think we can use humor, if that's what you're comfortable with, if you're a silly person like me. You can use humor to diffuse any sort of uncomfortable, awkward situations. And again, you're being authentic. You're being yourself. It's okay to tell a joke. It's okay to do those things. It's okay to laugh. I always felt like, oh, I need to be really serious. This is really serious stuff. And as a young attorney, I want people to take me seriously. And again, that's not being yourself, right? So here's a Dr. Seuss quote. And today you are you, that is truer than true. There is no one alive who is youer than you. And that's simple. I mean, these are simple things to say. We can't try to be somebody else. We have to be comfortable in our own skin, whether that's your work as a trial attorney in the courtroom, or whether it's just, even in a job interview. Be yourself. Try to show people who you really are, because that's how juries are going to connect with you. And a lot of times, when clients get to know us and we get to know the clients, it's about them opening up, and it's about being vulnerable. And that's scary. I mean, nobody wants to put themselves out there, and nobody wants to be in a situation where they feel like they're putting their barriers down. But that's how we have to be in the courtroom, and that's what we expect our clients. We tell our clients, when you are on the stand, this is your time to tell your story. And it's not for you to read a script and say, oh, my brain injury, it's affected my life, period. We want to hear stories and hear anecdotes and show people how lives have changed. And we can only do that if we show ourselves to people and allow people to connect with us, because somebody out there is going to think, I have the same thought. I feel the same as that person. I can connect with that person. I think when I'm completely just myself and being silly and being authentic, and also sticking to what we learn from the edge, that's the same person. I try to be the same person to my husband, my kids, my best friends, my law partner, as I am to a jury, to a focus group, in a webinar. I try to just be myself and not be afraid of that. Somebody can be like, oh, well, something she said is really offensive to me. And, it's just like, okay, well, I guess that's how you feel, but I'm being myself. And that's what's most important. And as trial lawyers, that's something we forget. And again, I love this topic because it's not something we learn. And it's, as the participant's question was, it's not something we learn in Edge. We learn about all the ways to do our openings. We learn about all the ways to do jury selection, but we don't learn all these back things that maybe some young lawyers, maybe some older lawyers have a hard time with. I had a colleague who, I don't know if it was from an Edge college, it might have been, but she felt like her critiques, it's something that she couldn't change. She kind of has like not a dialect, it's not an accent, but the way she speaks sometimes, it sounds, somebody said she sounds a little ghetto. Oh, I think she spoke at a seminar, at her plaintiff's bar seminar, and you get those evaluations that are anonymous where people can tell you how they really feel, but somebody said, oh, she sounds a little ghetto. And that really upset her. She just said, wow, that was like really harsh criticism. And I said, well, I mean, you do kind of sound a little ghetto, but that's okay because that's who you are. I mean, we try to be all polished and professional, and especially as young lawyers, we feel like we have to be that way or people won't take us seriously. As female trial attorneys, we have even more of that pressure. Oh, we have to be serious, we have to be professional. It's like, you're just being you. I mean, that's what I love about her. And I said, don't try to change. You can better yourself. You can work with voice coaches, especially people who have a hard time. Say, you have an accent or something you want to work on. Say you have a lisp, for instance. A lot of actors had lisps when they were children or had a stutter when they were children, and they worked with voice coaches. That's all about being a better version of yourself. And I think that's great. It's all about learning to feel more confident. So, for instance, if you have a stutter, you might feel like, oh, I can't be a trial attorney because I'm so nervous and I can't speak to people. Well, I would tell you, anyone can be a trial attorney. It's about working your butt off, of course, but also presenting your best self. Work with an acting coach, work with a voice coach. Those are all things we can try to better ourselves with, but you should never try to wash away who you are. You're just trying to be a better version of yourself to present that to a jury. Those are all my notes. Jenna, what are your thoughts as you're laughing over there at these horror stories that I'm telling?
I actually love this topic as well. And I love hearing you talk about it because it has been such a journey for both of us. I think we both, I mean, even from the beginning of our law firm, you and I are very similar, but we also have, and I find that when, I can do an opening and feel really good about it, and I can do a closing and feel really good about it. But in between, I'm a mess. Like, I don't feel good. I feel like I'm following the script. I feel like I'm reading the questions. I get lost. I don't listen. I get confused and I lose myself. And I think that ties into the fact that your trial is about an emotion for the jury and getting them to hop on board with you, but it's also about you feeling good about what you're presenting and feeling confident about it. So in addition to what you were saying with practicing, getting things down so you feel comfortable with the material and can then focus more on letting your authentic self shine through, there's also the part of which we always talk about in Edge, spending time with your client so you feel connected with them. You feel emotionally involved in the case. You feel like you're fighting alongside them so that you can, you're not just reading a script to get evidence to a jury, you're reading a script to deal blows to the other side and help your client. So I don't know. I don't think, we're both still on the journey. Neither of us has perfected it. I think we've gotten a lot better. Sadly, in the past couple of years, have not had much opportunity to try it because for some reason, young Gia and I, whenever the courts reopen, right before our trial goes, they shut down again. Because in Washington, they've kind of been all over the place, open and closed. I mean, what do you think about that emotional connection to your client, and how do you draw that out in your authenticity journey?
I think for me, that's my favorite part of our trial work is I'm not one for the medicine. I'm not really one for getting into the codes and statutes and all that, but I love getting to know our clients and getting to know their friends and family. And just as the edge way of witness prep, it's if you haven't taken the college, and I know I keep sounding like some marketing person, but it is amazing. It is life changing. And you go to other colleges and you do psychodrama, role reversal, all that stuff. But witness prep is so important because Amy Gibson, who was my instructor, and I think she's dean of witness prep.
I, you know what? I don't remember off the top of my head if she is dean of the witness prep college. She might be.
She might be. But Amy's awesome. And she said at the beginning of the college, she said, we focus so much on our case and everything else with it, the experts, the lay witnesses, and all our motions and mills and all this stuff. But at the end of the day, it's your client's case. Your client is the most important person. So we need to take the time to do witness prep and prep with our clients for 2-3 days before their deposition, because it is their case. And when she said that, I was like, that is so true. I mean, we used to meet with clients for just an hour and just say, go through the script. Tell me what happened. Okay, who did you see? Okay, just be honest, tell the truth. I mean, talk about, okay, what the hell just happened? And I'm just gonna go into this Zoom or whatever conference room and be interrogated for 8 hours. I mean, that's exhausting. So with witness prep, and it's all about letting barriers down with your client, connecting with them. A lot of secret sauce that I can't say, but I mean, it's all about getting to know them. And once you actually feel connected to this person, they're going to open up to you. They're really going to tell you about their damages and what they're going through and how much their lives have changed. You can't really do that when you talk to them for like an hour and just say, oh, tell me everything. How has your life been affected? I mean, what kind of question is that? That's awful. It's like an awful, horrible Diane Sawyer interview when you just say, oh, tell me everything you're feeling for the past 5 years, and then we can present it to a jury. Like witness prep, it's a process. And just like with everything with Edge, there's no quickie one way, short way to do it. And once you're able to really fully delve deep with these people, you need to maintain that connection. And once you break that barrier and gain their trust, again, by being authentic, then you can ask all those questions that you would, in an interrogation or deposition, really hone into them. Okay, now that we are at this level, we built a foundation. Let's really delve in. And I want to ask you every little question, things you don't think about that you have harmed you because of what happened. Then you can get into your, laundry list of questions and really getting into damage.
Sorry, I couldn't hear what you said.
Oh my God, my Siri, sorry.
Siri's creeping on you.
I hate when that happens.
It's okay.
Oh my God, I'm dying.
That was me being
It's okay. You're being
Sometimes
authentic.
Siri does that.
It's fine. As long as you're sorry, it's fine.
Yeah, next, my dogs are going to start barking. But
I know.
yeah, it's about, letting your clients feel comfortable and really drawing out those emotions, not just facts, but emotions, so that we can really understand and tell their story. I mean, you should feel like your client is your best friend. You love them, you hate them, but you know everything about them. That's how you're going to present them at trial, right? So that's the part I like. I don't like talking to doctors. I don't like talking to experts. I like talking to my client and just talking to them like I would to a friend, and getting to really know them, asking them questions they don't even think about, or that their spouses don't even talk about, or their kids don't even talk about. So that's what it's all about.
Yeah, and I think a jury can pick up on that relationship as well. I mean, how many times have you seen opposing counsel who meets their client for the first time
Yes.
at their deposition, and then never speaks to them again, and then the next time they meet is at trial, and you can really see that there's no relationship there. And so we're always wanting to put ourselves opposite of what the defense is doing, not only factually and evidentiary, wise, but also personality, and just kind of we want to contrast the fact that they don't really care to be here with the fact that we do, and we took the time to talk to our client. And it's going to help you as far as authenticity goes. If something goes haywire during your client's testimony, you're going to be better equipped to address that and get your client back on track if you know them and understand their personality, than if you spent 20 minutes with them before the deposition and another 30 before trial. So that's a super important part about it. One thing that you talked about, Young G, is like when you're trying to be authentic, right? But you don't want to shove your authentic self down someone's throat who doesn't like you, right? And not everyone will like you, and that's okay. So one thing that we tend to think about in jury selection, voir dire, however you say it, is how we are connecting with the jury. And you mentioned John Katie connecting very well with that focus group, which is a great example of the importance of establishing rapport by connecting. And I think it's important to think about that as you go through. I mean, we have had several trials where it is only the relationship between us and the jury that is carrying us forward. Like our case is falling apart. The witnesses are crapping the bed. It is becoming a disaster.
Judges hate
And
us.
it's only the relationship that we built with the jury that's carrying us forward. So along with all the metrics that you develop through doing focus groups about what type of juror you want on your veneer and which you don't, think about who you're connecting with. And you want to have a script for your witnesses, but be able to go off script. Also, you want those metrics for your jury, but also be willing to say, hey, juror number 7 meets all our metrics, but hates me with a passion. And think, well, can I rescue it? Or is there maybe juror number 14 who could potentially get in the box that would be better? Think about those things, because it matters, because you're not going to be able to change fundamentally who you are. So you're not going to be able to please everybody. But the more people you can kind of develop a rapport with in the veneer, the better, right?
Absolutely. I think that's what's great about Edge. We take these cases and we're not focusing on the event. It's a system failure, and people connect with that. I mean, that's about keeping our community safe. And, it doesn't matter what your background is, whether your ethnicity, your origin, your, political affiliation. If you can speak to them and connect them with your case and how it affects them, they could care less what you look like or who you are. Maybe they don't like that I'm female. Maybe they don't like that I'm Asian, or, they don't like this about me. Oh, I don't like what she's dressing. But they can hear the case. And that's what's really important. At the end of the day, we are just the messenger, and our case that we have put together for years and years and followed the Edge symphony is what is going to win it. And Jenna, we've also had jurors that didn't like us. I mean, yes. We knew they didn't like us. They didn't like our client. We ended up winning. Maybe it would have been better if they liked us more, or, but those are things we're always going to be up against. You can't change who you are, because not a juror of 12, 13 people are going to have thoughts about you. They just are. People have thoughts about plaintiff attorneys. They know the trial lawyer code. So try to stay off code, but try to be yourself and be authentic. And I think it's okay to impart yourself into, whether it's an anecdotal story during jury selection or something, so that, or you have, Edge loves using analogies. You tell a story about your kids or your dog, and somebody might be like, oh, that was kind of funny, and that was kind of cool. This lawyer is not just like stiff and boring. They want to be entertained. I mean, they don't want to sit there and just listen to a checklist of your stupid questions. So it's all about just presenting yourself to the courtroom, getting to know your client so you can present them. And it's about emotion. It's not about logic. People aren't about facts. Nobody reads jury instructions.
Nobody reads the jury.
Nobody reads them.
Let me say it louder for you in the back. Nobody reads the jury instructions. Okay. They don't care what they say. They
Nobody
make up their own
them.
I don't even understand the jury instructions when I'm putting them together. I'm like, what are they even trying to say? Don't worry about that stuff.
Yeah, blah, 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 whatever it is, they're going to go with that. They don't care about your instructions. You can argue about them. You can file motions about them. Jurors don't care. They're going to think what they want to think. So, I mean, that's all you can do. You can show the emotion. And if your case is not that emotional, it's not going to result in a higher verdict. I mean, that's just the facts, because cases are won on emotion. They're emotional scales, 1 to 10. It's very simple. Quantifying the emotion. It's not quantifying the facts and how much evidence the plaintiff have. We can have 30 doctors on our side, and if they don't feel a connection to it, they don't care. I mean, Bubba don't give a shit. You will learn that very quickly and sadly, but they will care about the system failure and whatever else you can find emotionally in your case.
Another way that we do in our firm, at least, to make sure we're staying as authentic as possible and not getting bogged down by the script is playing to our strengths with witnesses.
Mhm.
And so I tend to enjoy more talking to the doctors and the experts, and Young G tends to enjoy, like she said, the client and the lay witnesses. And I just actually watched Young G do a perpetuation deposition of one of our lay witnesses in a trial coming up. And I was like, this is great. Young G is doing such a good job of just like talking to this witness. The witness was kind of wonky, but what can you do? But like she did such a good job of just interacting as herself and with her authentic personality. We have tried swapping because, for various different reasons, maybe because I'm lead and so I should be doing the lay, whatever it may be. And it
Somebody
doesn't
told
come
us
across
to.
very well. What?
Somebody told us to.
Yeah. Or somebody told us to, a judge told us to, or
Yeah.
who knows. At the end of the day, one of us usually has a better relationship with the client. So whoever that is does the client's testimony, but play to your strengths, because that's going to be how you keep from bogging yourself down with the script and allow your more authentic self to shine through. I have a very hard time if I'm doing a lay witness, directing a lay witness's testimony. It's difficult for me to interact with them. It's difficult to me. I hold them to a expert's standards. I get mad when they don't give the right response, and then it shows on my face, and it shows in my questions, and it's just it really puts a damper, I think, on the testimony. And so, we even tried dividing up lay witnesses. Nope, it's just not a good idea.
Well, I think what's important is that know your strengths, play to them, but also be willing to take risks and get out of that comfort zone. I mean, that's exactly the reason you're teaching the direct exam.
Yeah,
college,
that is
'cause you're like,
exactly why.
oh my God, I hate direct exam. Everyone always says, oh, it's the lawyer, not the witness. But, Jenna is trying to learn and better herself. And just like me, I'm like so scared of medicine. I hate science. I hate anything with muscles and tendons and sprains and strains. I still don't get those straight. But, when we had a damages case, I had to really get into the medicine and ask my stupid questions. And it's all about asking a million questions so that you understand. You understand that calcaneus fracture, you understand the TBI, and just making it really simple for you. And that's the best way. If you make it simple for yourself and you feel comfortable talking about it and you're authentic, it's the same for the jury. The jury are not doctors or nurses. Those are people you don't want on your jury, right? They don't know the medicine. In fact, I mean, Dawn had a blog about it. You had this med mal defense attorney who knew all the terms and all the medicine. This guy probably had an MD. The jury couldn't connect with him. They're like, what the hell is he talking about? Oh, he's talking about x-rays and this and that. When it's not dumbing it down. It's making it understandable. It's making it authentic. We're not doctors. We are lawyers. We are here presenting your client's case. Your client is not a doctor. Your client is not in medicine. We need to be able to talk to regular people. I mean, that's if you don't, you sound silly. I mean, you're not being authentic when you're trying to be the smartest person in the room. And a lot of defense attorneys do that, and they think they sound smart. Oh, if I sound smart, aka if I'm on code, then jurors are going to look up to me and respect me. No, they're not. Who likes that person at the party who's like talking about algorithms and like super awkward? I mean, that's not who you want to talk to. You want to talk to the fun people. You want to talk to people who will relate to you and who will listen to you. That's the biggest thing. I mean, just be yourself, but try to listen more.
Yeah, listening is something that Don will say many, many times lawyers are terrible at. And I agree, we are bad at it. We try to get better at it. Focus grouping is one way to do that.
Mhm.
We do a ton of focus groups, both for our own cases and also for other people. And we can do them nationally because we have, everything is via Zoom. So if you need help with that, let us know. But we do, there are so many things that can come from that with authenticity. I mean, you get to practice talking to people, you get to practice what works and what doesn't work, what questions work and what questions don't work. We'll do practice voir dire
Mhm.
in a focus group, and I will ask a question that I'm pretty sure is going to get awesome responses, and I get a bunch of blank stares, like,
What?
what? I don't understand the question, and I'm like, are you serious? But to the listening point, it can be very difficult to hear bad things about your case, but it is
Mhm.
so important because number one, it really is character building because you become like,
One way to put it.
oh my God,
Building my character when you tell me my case sucks.
yes, I want your client to get out of, my face, and I never want to compensate that person. Or, I mean, we've heard people say terrible things about our clients. So you want to hear that ahead of time before you get into a jury. But, listening is so important. Listening and responding, listening to what people say about you and your authenticity, and whether,
Yes.
whether it's a one-off, right? I mean, but Yang Chi,
I had my eureka moment.
you had a few moments where people
Yeah.
were telling you the same thing. So
A
you were
lot of
like, okay, I
moments.
got to address this. Yeah. Well, and it can be difficult, but again, it's important to hear those difficult things, whether it's about you or
Mhm.
your client or your case or, anything. I mean, you may spend $100,000 on a animation and you put it in front of a jury and they're like,
Mhm.
nah, that's bad. That's real
Yeah.
bad. It's like,
True story, not us. It happened.
yeah, true story. That is a true story. Although we just have been focus grouping that one for our upcoming trial, and we spent a good amount of money on it, not nearly 100, but and they're not getting it, and so we have to rechange it, rechange it. So listen, respond, do some introspect. I mean, this actually is an excellent topic to have after last week's discussion with Joe Tunstall. He
Mm.
talked to us about stress relief.
Mhm.
And I think if you're less stressed, you can
Mhm.
be more yourself. I don't know. What do you think about that, Youngji?
Well, yeah, I think people can get caught up in stress and emotion, and we have physical manifestations of our stress, as we know. So I think it's a huge part of it, and being able to be comfortable and not nervous. So being authentic by practice, just like you are an athlete or a musician. As trial lawyers, we need to practice these things. People don't get up, roll out of bed, and go deliver an opening. I mean, unless you're like the good wife or something. So those things just make you more comfortable. It's like I said, it's about muscle memory and getting used to saying the same thing over again, doing the statistic and doing all those things where you feel comfortable. Asking the voir dire questions, however you want to do them. So it's definitely, when stress or nerves get into it, that's when you start gripping your script and
Okay, in your voice.
going lower and losing your voice and looking at the clock and being very nervous. So definitely relieving stress. I'm very good at compartmentalizing my stress.
I'm
I
not.
close my office door, I walk out, and I have 2 dogs, 2 kids, 5 ducks, and a husband. So things to occupy my mind. So I can do that very easily. Some of us in this podcast have a harder time, but it's finding what works for you, whether it's taking a hot bath or reading a book or going on a walk. Those are things we need to do for self-care. And absolutely right before a trial, I mean, you want to relax and not be up till, midnight doing work. I mean, that's super stressful and feeling by that point, it's like studying for the LSAT. You don't want to, burn out, because then it's like when you train for the marathon, you're not going to be running a marathon right before. I mean, you want to relax, you want to be able to focus your energy and get your mind off things so that you are fresh and ready and not stressed and nervous and clutching your script for dear life, which is normal, but you try not to show it in front of a jury, right?
Yeah, I mean, trial is so chaotic as it is. prepare as best you can for the things that you can control. And actually, John does not do any work on his case, or he's told me this in the past, for the 2 weeks before trial, because
I don't know if I believe him. Do
I
you
know
believe him?
he works all the time,
Yeah,
but
it's not on that case.
and whether it's 2 weeks or 1 week or just a couple of days,
Mhm.
give yourself that space to quiet it down a little bit. Maybe don't work the weekend before or something like that, so that you can go in fresh and be ready to go.
Yeah.
Well, we've hit the 1 o'clock hour. So I want to thank you so much, Youngji, for being here and sharing your journey towards authenticity and finding your voice. And I want to thank everyone who joined us for this week's episode of Fridays with Keenan's Cutting Edge. If you liked today's video, please click that thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe and sign up for alerts so you don't miss an episode. This podcast is about delivering what you want to hear. So don't be shy about sharing topic ideas with us. You can do that in the comments below. You can email us. We are always available to listen to ideas. As Papa Don always says, if you want to hear more about it, chances are someone else does too. As I mentioned last week, we have a little bit of a change to the schedule. So we had Youngji in today, who was supposed to be next week because David Hoey had a conflict, but David is going to be with us next week talking about the new premises revolution. When in the intro, when I say that the world of Don Keenan's trial philosophy, the cutting edge, is dynamic, I mean it. And Youngji can attest to that. It is ever changing, ever evolving in order to meet the needs and worldviews of our jurors, because those change. I'm excited to hear what David has to share with us next week about what is new and revolutionary in the Edge premises section. So all of you have a wonderful weekend, and I will see you next time.
Thank you.